The celestial realm shimmered, a tapestry of swirling nebulae and distant stars. Here, in the boundless expanse beyond mortal comprehension, resided the gods. Among them, Ra, the sun god of the Egyptians, held dominion. His form, radiant and imposing, pulsed with the energy of 1,000 suns. He was the creator, the sustainer, the heart of the Egyptian pantheon, yet a weariness had begun to creep into his ancient heart. He felt a growing disconnect from the very mortals he had created, their prayers and sacrifices seeming hollow, their devotion more out of fear than genuine understanding. One evening, as he gazed down upon the fertile Nile Valley, a silver light caught his eye. It emanated not from the earth, but from another corner of the celestial realm, a region associated with a pantheon less familiar to him, the gods of Thrace. The light belonged to Bendis, the Thracian moon goddess. He had observed her before, a figure of ethereal beauty, her presence as captivating as the moonlit nights she governed. She was wild, untamed, a stark contrast to the rigid order of his own pantheon. An idea, bold and unprecedented, began to take root in Ra's mind. He summoned Thoth, the ibis-headed god of wisdom, his most trusted advisor. Thoth, ever calm and measured, listened patiently as Ra outlined his plan, a marriage alliance with Bendis, a union with a Thracian goddess. Thoth's voice, usually devoid of emotion, held a hint of surprise. Such a thing has never been done before. The implications are precisely why it must be considered, Ra interrupted, his voice firm. Our connection with the mortal realm is waning, Thoth. We have become distant, predictable. This union could revitalize our relationship with humanity, bridge the gap between our pantheons, and usher in an era of unprecedented understanding. Thoth, after a moment of contemplation, nodded slowly. It is a radical proposition, but not without merit. Bendis is powerful, revered by her people. The merging of our cultures could indeed have a profound impact. He paused, his gaze sharpening. But it will not be without its challenges. There will be opposition, both here and among the Thracians. Ra acknowledged this with a wave of his hand. Let them oppose. I will speak with Bendis. Send a message, Thoth. Tell her I wish to meet. Thoth bowed and set about his task. Days later, a response arrived. Bendis, intrigued, agreed to meet Ra in a neutral location, a hidden oasis on the earthly plane said to be a nexus between the celestial and mortal realms. The oasis was a sanctuary of life amidst a vast desert, a testament to the enduring power of nature. Palm trees swayed gently in the warm breeze, their fronds casting dancing shadows on the crystal-clear water of a spring. The air hummed with the buzz of insects and the songs of unseen birds. It was here, under the watchful gaze of the stars, that Ra and Bendis met. Bendis arrived first, stepping out of a shimmering portal of moonlight, her silver hair cascading down her back, her eyes reflecting the starlight. She was clad in furs and leather, a bow slung across her back, a quiver of arrows at her side. She was every bit the huntress, the embodiment of the wild, untamed spirit of the Thracian forests. Ra arrived moments later in a blaze of golden light, his hawk-headed form radiating power and authority. He was adorned in the traditional regalia of the Egyptian pharaohs, his crown gleaming with precious stones, the eye of Horus emblazoned on his chest. They regarded each other for a long moment, two vastly different deities, two distinct worlds meeting at a crossroads. You are Bendis, Ra said, his voice a low rumble that seemed to shake the very air. And you are Ra, Bendis replied, her voice clear and strong, her gaze unwavering. Your proposal is unexpected. It is necessary, Ra countered. For too long our pantheons have remained separate, our followers divided. This union could change that. And what of our differences? Bendis asked, gesturing to her attire, to the wildness of her surroundings. You are order, I am chaos. You are the sun, I am the moon. We are as different as night and day. And yet, Ra said, stepping closer, night and day are two sides of the same coin. They are essential to each other, just as we could be essential to each other. Together, we could bring balance, not just to our pantheons, but to the mortal world as well. Bendis considered his words, her gaze searching his. She was wary, hesitant, but also intrigued. The idea of such a union was audacious, even dangerous, but it also held a certain allure. The thought of forging a connection with this powerful, enigmatic god, of bridging the gap between their two worlds, was undeniably tempting. "Your words are persuasive, Ra," she finally said, "but a decision of this magnitude cannot be made lightly. I must consult with my own pantheon, with my people." "As must I," Ra agreed. "But I believe this union is worth pursuing. I believe it is our destiny." As the first rays of dawn painted the eastern sky, Ra and Bendis parted ways, the fate of their two worlds hanging in the balance, the possibility of a union forged in starlight, a union that could either usher in a new era of peace or plunge their worlds into chaos. News of the proposed union between Ra and Bendis spread like wildfire through both the celestial and mortal realms. Reactions were, as Thoth had predicted, mixed. In Egypt, some saw the alliance as a sign of Ra's continued power and a promise of renewed prosperity. Others, particularly the more conservative priests, muttered about the dangers of foreign influence and the wrath of the old gods. In Thrace, reactions were similarly divided. Many, especially among Bendis's devoted followers, were wary of the rigid structure of the Egyptian pantheon and feared the loss of their own traditions. Despite the undercurrents of doubt and opposition, Ra and Bendis pressed forward. They met again in the hidden oasis, their initial attraction deepening into a genuine respect and affection. They discovered shared values beneath their apparent differences, a common desire for balance and a deep love for the mortal world they watched over. The wedding ceremony was a spectacle unlike any seen before. It was held at the oasis, the nexus between realms, under a sky ablaze with both the setting sun and the rising moon. Deities from both pantheons were in attendance, a kaleidoscope of divine forms and powers. Egyptian gods, adorned in gold and lapis lazuli, stood alongside Thracian deities, clad in furs and feathers. The ceremony itself was a careful blend of both traditions, incorporating the solemn oaths of the Egyptians and the wild, ecstatic dances of the Thracians. As Ra and Bendis exchanged vows, a hush fell over the assembled deities. The air crackled with power, and for a moment, the sun and moon seemed to hang side by side in the sky, their lights intertwining. It was a moment of breathtaking beauty, a symbol of unity and hope. But the harmony was short-lived. In the weeks that followed, unsettling events began to plague both Egypt and Thrace. The Nile, the lifeblood of Egypt, began to behave erratically, flooding its banks one day and receding to dangerously low levels the next. Strange celestial phenomena, eclipses and meteor showers unseen before, filled the night sky. In Thrace, the once predictable seasons became chaotic. Unseasonal storms ravaged the land, and the forests, usually teeming with life, fell strangely silent. Whispers of monstrous creatures lurking in the shadows spread fear among the populace. The mortal populations, confused and frightened, began to blame the union of Ra and Bendis for these calamities. In Egypt, whispers of discontent turned into open protests. In Thrace, fear gave way to anger, and some began to call for a return to the old ways, a rejection of the foreign influence of Ra. Two figures in particular saw an opportunity in the chaos. Codies, a minor Thracian goddess of revelry and discord, had always resented Bendis. She felt overlooked, overshadowed by the moon goddess's power and popularity. Now she saw a chance to seize power for herself. In Egypt, Apep, the serpent deity of chaos, an eternal enemy of Ra, saw a chance to finally overthrow the sun god and plunge the world into darkness. They began to work in the shadows, manipulating events, spreading rumors, and inciting violence. Codies whispered lies to the Thracian people, telling them that Ra was a tyrant who sought to enslave them. Apep, using his influence over the darker aspects of the human psyche, fueled the Egyptians' fear and paranoia, turning them against their own god. Thoth, ever vigilant, began to uncover evidence of their Hisab Ishenus. He discovered that the natural disasters were not random occurrences, but were being deliberately orchestrated. He found traces of dark magic, whispers of ancient rituals being performed in secret, all designed to disrupt the balance between the two realms and turn the people against Ra and Bendis. He also stumbled upon an ancient prophecy, etched on the walls of a forgotten temple, a prophecy that spoke of a great upheaval when the sun and moon united. The prophecy was ambiguous, open to interpretation. It could be read as a promise of renewal, a necessary disruption of the old order to make way for a new era. but it could also be interpreted as a warning of destruction, a cataclysm that would end the world as they knew it. Armed with this knowledge, Thoth warned Ra and Bendis. They knew they had to act quickly, to expose the conspirators and quell the growing unrest. But as they prepared to address their people, disaster struck. A devastating sandstorm, more powerful than any seen before, engulfed Egypt, burying villages and blinding the sun. At the same time, Thrace was rocked by a series of violent earthquakes, tearing apart the land and splitting mountains in two. The two deities, separated by the chaos, were blamed for the disasters. Apep and Codies, seizing the moment, emerged from the shadows, openly challenging Ra and Bendis' authority. They rallied their followers, a mix of disgruntled deities and fear-mongering mortals, and plunged both Egypt and Thrace into open rebellion. The stage was set for a final, desperate battle, a battle not just for power, but for the very survival of two worlds. The fragile peace forged by the union of the sun and moon hung precariously in the balance, threatened by the shadows that lurked in the hearts of gods and men alike. The world seemed to hold its breath. Egypt choked under the relentless sandstorm, its people scattered and fearful. Thrace fractured, the earth groaning under the strain of ceaseless tremors. In the midst of this chaos, Ra and Bendis, separated by the turmoil, struggled to regain control. Ra, his golden light dimmed by the swirling sand, rallied the loyal Egyptian deities. Thoth, his wisdom proving invaluable, helped him devise a plan to counter Apep's chaotic magic. They would use the power of Ma'at, the principle of cosmic order and balance, to restore harmony to the land. Meanwhile, Bendis, her silver glow piercing the darkness that had fallen over Thrace, called upon the spirits of the forests and mountains. She sought to calm the earth, to soothe the fear that gripped her people, and to expose Codies' deceit. Their efforts, though valiant, were hampered by the widespread panic and the machinations of their enemies. Apep, a swirling vortex of shadowy energy, reveled in the chaos he had unleashed. He fed on the fear of the Egyptians, growing stronger with each passing moment. Codies, cloaked in illusions, moved among the Thracians, sowing discord and turning them against Bendis, accusing her of abandoning them for a foreign god. Finally, guided by Thoth's wisdom and their own unwavering determination, Ra and Bendis managed to converge at the hidden oasis, the site of their union, now a focal point of the disrupted energies. They were not alone. Apep and Codies, their forms twisted by their own malevolence, were waiting for them, their followers a ragtag army of disgruntled deities and frightened mortals. "Look around you, Ra, Bendis." Apep's voice, a hissing whisper, echoed through the oasis. "Your union has brought nothing but destruction. The old ways are crumbling, and a new era, an era of chaos, is at hand." Codies, her eyes gleaming with malicious glee, stepped forward. "The Thracians were fools to trust you, Bendis. You traded their loyalty for a hollow alliance with this sun-scorched tyrant." Ra, his form radiating a renewed intensity, drew himself up to his full height. "Our union was not the cause of this chaos, but a catalyst for change. It was meant to bring balance, to bridge the divide between our worlds." Bendis, her voice ringing with the power of the wild, added, "You, Apep and Codies, are the architects of this destruction. You prey on fear and ignorance, twisting the truth to serve your own selfish desires." The confrontation escalated. Apep, a being of pure chaos, unleashed a torrent of dark energy. Ra countered with the blinding light of the sun, the power of creation itself. Bendis summoned the forces of nature, the fury of the storm, the resilience of the earth, to combat Codies' illusions and deceit. The battle raged, a whirlwind of divine power that shook the very foundations of the oasis. The loyal deities fought alongside Ra and Bendis, their powers blending and clashing in a dazzling display of celestial might. Thoth, using his knowledge of magic and hieroglyphs, countered Apep's chaotic spells, weaving protective barriers and redirecting the flow of energy. The tide began to turn when a group of mortals, both Egyptian and Thracian, who had not succumbed to fear and had witnessed the treachery of Apep and Codies, joined the fray. They were priests, warriors, and ordinary citizens, united by their belief in Ra and Bendis and their desire for peace. Their courage, though small compared to the might of the gods, proved to be a crucial factor. They were a living testament to the potential for unity and understanding between the two cultures. Inspired by their bravery, Ra and Bendis combined their powers. the light of the sun merging with the glow of the moon, creating a blinding, harmonious energy that enveloped the oasis. This unified force, a symbol of their love and their commitment to both their peoples, struck at the heart of Apep and Codys's power. Apep, his form dissolving under the radiant energy, let out a final, ear-splitting shriek before being banished back to the Juat, the Egyptian underworld. Codys, her illusions shattered, her power waning, was stripped of her divinity and cast out, condemned to wander the mortal realm as a nameless spirit. As the echoes of the battle faded, a hush fell over the oasis. The sandstorm in Egypt began to subside, the sun's golden rays piercing through the dissipating clouds. In Thrace, the earthquakes ceased, the land slowly regaining its stability. Ra and Bendis, weakened but victorious, stood side by side, their hands clasped. They looked out at the assembled mortals and deities, their faces reflecting the hope of a new dawn. The ancient prophecy, Thoth realized, had been fulfilled. The great upheaval had not been a singular event of destruction, but a period of turmoil, a necessary cleansing of the old ways to make way for a new era. The union of Ra and Bendis had indeed disrupted the established order, but it had also paved the way for a future where different cultures, different pantheons could coexist and even thrive together. In the aftermath, Ra and Bendis worked tirelessly to rebuild trust and understanding between Egyptians and Thracians. They established cultural exchanges, encouraged trade, and fostered a spirit of mutual respect. Their union became a symbol of unity in diversity, a testament to the power of love and understanding to bridge even the widest divides. And so, a new era began, an era shaped by the unprecedented union of the sun and the moon. The children of Ra and Bendis, demigods embodying the strengths of both cultures, would grow to become powerful leaders and wise teachers, further solidifying the bond between Egypt and Thrace. Their legacy would be a world where the whispers of lore would tell not of conflict and division, but of unity, understanding, and the enduring power of a love forged in starlight, a love that had weathered the darkest of storms and emerged stronger than ever before. The story served as a reminder that even the most fundamental differences can be overcome, and that true strength lies not in isolation, but in unity and understanding.